Hey, good morning, everybody. It is great to be back with you all again. It's the morning briefing right here on Friedman Adventures. Last day of Memorial Day. I hope you're going to spend it with family and friends and have a really great day. A good day for all of us to take a moment of silence and remember the fallen soldiers, men and women who've made this country so strong, given us this sweet gift of freedom that allows us to go hiking and travel to China and teach for 3 years as I did, or go surf fishing this morning. None of that is possible. And believe me, when you start to travel around the world, you see it clearly. You see what a magnificent opportunity we've all been given here in the United States of America. We are blessed beyond belief here, and remembering those soldiers, those men and women who went before us, gave the ultimate sacrifice. Remembering them is so important. And as I mentioned to you yesterday, I'm guilty of, hey, it's Memorial Day, let's have a barbecue and have some fun, and you don't really stop to think about it. So especially if you have kids, good time before you do the barbecue to say to the kids, you know, hey, none of this is possible without those brave men and women. So in the beginning of this video, you saw those giant tuna, and you might be thinking to yourself, those fish were caught on well, you won't think this anymore. It used to be that you'd think 16-day trip or something like that, but no more. We are living in this crazy environment now where you can go on a boat at 6 o'clock in the morning, be back at 6 o'clock at night, and have a whole bunch of giant bluefin tuna. That was certainly the case on at least 2 boats yesterday. The Grande had 13 of those magnificent fish yesterday. Really mind-boggling. All of them over 100 pounds. Just superior grade fish. On board the San Diego, they had 12 of those fish. Now, granted, they have like 35 anglers on the boat, but a chance, just a chance to catch one of those fish. For me, just being there to witness it is a marvel. And all of us who've been in sport fishing for as long as I have, 5 decades or so, man, this is so special. I can't emphasize this enough. And you know, now all of a sudden, we've not only got 15 to 18 to 20 pound bluefin tuna, but now we've got these fish up over 200 pounds, over 100 pounds for sure. And that means you have got to get tackled up, because there were some guys on those 6 a.m. boats that were just outgunned yesterday. They run into this big fish, and you've got to have like 80 to 130 pound right now. That is for sure. And what a special day it was. I'm praying that we see more of this. The boys are just heading out right now. That's how amazing this is. They're just heading out, and hopefully they're going to get into it. But remember, you need that heavy tackle for sure. You don't see much at all on the surface. In other words, it's all sonar marks pretty much, and it's all deep pretty much. 100 to sometimes 400 feet deep is where these fish are being hung. So you want to be ready with sinker rigs. That is definitely a great way to go. 4 to 6, sometimes 8 ounce torpedo sinkers working best of all. And now on that big grade of fish, when you're going to the knife jigs, the flat falls, the kanas, all those, you're edging toward that 200 grams to get you down fast and get you down deeper. That is definitely the case. The good news is that this fish is moving up the Baja coast, some of it off Rosarito. You'll see the islands, the Coronado Islands, while you're fishing it. Some of it down there off Puerto Nuevo. Don't you dare think about going in there for a lobster dinner. You can do that later. And it's really close. That's the good news. The bad news is that it's really close. And by that I mean, there's a double-edged sword here, and that is that, man, boat pressure, like a frigging parking lot yesterday. It was like bumper cars. I mean, there's a lot of sport boats in there, and then you throw all those private boaters in there, and it's crazy time in that neck of the woods. So we've been talking about kelp patty yellowtail. It was really difficult to find a kelp that hadn't been run over 136,000 times yesterday. So a lot of boat pressure. You still have a chance though, and I would definitely keep my eyes open. Private boaters for kelps. They're holding some of this 5 to 15 pound yellowtail. A lot of you are listening to this right now and saying, forget it, I'm not interested. I'm interested in getting a 200 pound bluefin tuna. And I totally get that. I get that. But if you want to catch some yellows, there are still some yellows, especially if you stray off and stay in good water, clean water, warmer water. If you can get away from the fleet a little bit and find a kelp that nobody's looked at, good luck on that one. You might come up with some yellows. So again, you need that different tackle when you're going, you're going to have that. Man, I'm edging toward 130 pound now. You're going to need that really heavy tackle until we see something change in this bite. And then you're going to need the 30-pound fluorocarbon rig for those kelp patty yellowtail. Some of you, once again, are just going to go with the heavy and concentrate on those big fish. And I totally get that. What a magnificent bite. The guys that are fishing overnight and, those nighttime kind of bites, mostly day and a half and more, still very good fishing at night. Mix of fish, you got a lot of that smaller fish now, that 18 to 30 pound stuff, but you still have the big fish. And I had been saying previously that those big fish come out to play at night. Well, they're playing in the daytime, as you can clearly see what happened on the San Diego and the Grande. I mean, these are days that'll go down in sport fishing history. I'm telling you, this is so special. And now's a good time for me to introduce a private boater to you, by name at least, Grant Cummings, and show a couple of photos. Grant has been out and just having magnificent fishing. He's made 8 trips this year, and he's new to the game. So he's learning, and he's got this mind that's wide open. He's not one of these know-it-alls. He's soaking it all in. He's learning as he goes. 8 trips this year for Grant. 47 bluefin tuna. 47 bluefin for a guy just coming into the sport. And Grant, you are kicking you know what. That is absolutely incredible when you think about it. When you think about years when it was hard to come by a bluefin tuna, or if you got one here in SoCal, it was like up in the Santa Monica Bay, we'd catch 30 pounders and we'd think, man, the world is such a beautiful place. And now you have a shot at big grade stuff. He was just out again and had just wonderful fishing. A lot of that 18 to 30 pound stuff for Grant, but really good fishing. And a couple other things about Grant. He's a super humble guy, and he's taking kids fishing and showing them the beauties of sport fishing and how great it can be. And you know that those kids are going to continue on into the future fishing. And I don't want to get into current events or anything else. I know you come here to get away from all that crap, but I do want to make this comment. It's more important than ever. You can see what's going on with kids in our communities nowadays. It's super important. And this is coming from a guy who wants you to come to YouTube, who wants you to go to Spotify, who wants you to watch Friedman Adventures. It's super important to take a break from that, to get away from that, especially kids who get into sometimes some echo chambers that are not good for them online and just staring at the screen all day long. And as a guy who's taught in Costa Rica and Mexico, here in the United States, and most recently 3 years in China, I see it all around the world. You go around the world now and people are just like staring at their phones all the time. I'm guilty of it. Most of the time I'm working for you, but I'm guilty of it too. So getting kids into the great outdoors. I don't care if it's playing soccer or football. I don't care if it's going for a hike. I don't care if it's surf fishing along the beach. What Grant is doing, and many of you, I know you are, hooking kids on some outdoor sport, getting them away from that screen time is so important. And by current events, you can see that right now. These are precious, innocent beings, children, and getting them into this great sport, I can't think of anything better that you can do for kids. So it's more than just going out and catching a fish. It's more than that. It's about really getting kids into something that will carry them on into the future, breathe some fresh air, see what this beautiful world offers for each and every one of us. So I'll get off the soapbox now, get you back to fishing. Remember, you're going to need some of those heavier jigs right now. You're going to need that 130 pound if you ask me. And what a magnificent catch yesterday on the Grande and the San Diego. Again, those guys that are on day and a half trips have very good fishing, but that is something that I had to point out to you. It is absolutely magnificent. Looking at the coastal regions, I still think we got a shot at a barracuda bite here. I don't know, I'm just feeling it. Not seeing any big numbers of barracuda, but we have all this feed around, we have all that anchovy around, they love that. And along the coast, we're away from that wind, and wind is something that's bugging us all again right now. Down there in San Diego, might get a little breezy in the afternoon, but it's not going to get unfishable at all. And moving up the coast from Ensenada all the way up there into the Channel Islands and above, we see some nice conditions. I'm looking out here right now, you're looking out here right now, and it looks pretty darn good. So we'll continue to watch that for you very, very closely. And for the most part, down there around Dana and other areas, there's been some good short calico bass bites going on. Good action, fun, nothing wrong with that. Good thing for the kids. There's a few legals being taken. So up and down the coast, we're catching a few bass, few barracuda, few bonita. Mostly, however, we're looking at sculpin, rockfish, and that kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with going home with some material for some really good fish tacos. And you might watch Chef Jason, he did a calico bass fish taco recipe with a salsa to go along with it. I sat down here at his place in Scholb's down there in Long Beach, and man, was that freaking delicious. So you try that. I have no doubt you're going to be hooked. Let's take a look at some of the islands. Coronado Islands have been looked at a little bit. Again, everybody's driving by that right now to get that bluefin, but there's a smattering of yellowtail, calico bass, rockfish going on at the Coronado Islands. Moving up now to Catalina Island. We're dealing with conditions right now. That water's still off. Fishing over there at times shows some promise. For the most part, it's been pretty tough, but if the boat you're on decides to load up with some rockfish, they can certainly do that in some cases. But trying to get a yellow bite or a sea bass bite, bonita, all of that has been difficult. It can definitely pop up. Hope it does here today on this beautiful Monday. But again, it's been a little tough out there. In San Clemente Island, much of the same. There's a great possibility that we get a replay of what went on with Jeff Marklin, over there on the Thunderbird. He's had some good yellowtail fishing, had one good day up there around 20, but it's difficult right now. And hopefully we're getting through this stuff. It's June, for God's sakes. It's time for this stuff to start chewing and biting. Most of those guys on the dropper loop, and when you're fishing the dropper loop, you can go with a heavy 60-pound. Some guys say fluorocarbon, some guys say not. If you're going to do fluoro, make sure it's Opsin fluorocarbon, www.opsinusa.com. Put in FA at checkout and get a note from Greg as well as a free gift. So those islands, a little bit on the tougher side, but hopefully it's going to get going. And Santa Barbara and Nicholas, especially Nicholas, that's been the site of some really good halibut fishing, good flashes of sea bass, a lot of yellowtail meandering around there. Wind has got that down the tubes right now. We can only hope that it will recuperate rapidly because of that blow. So water temps are inevitably going to go like that, and water's going to muck up. We just hope that it bounces back rather quickly in that neck of the woods. Same thing for the little island, Santa Barbara. There's a lot of life out there, but once again, as I have explained to you, in springtime, and now we're getting into late spring, but we're still dealing with that windy type of condition. You'll take a step forward, you'll see a good sea bass bite, you'll see a good yellow bite, you'll see a whole bunch of halibut, and then you take a step backwards. The consistency lacks because the wind deteriorates conditions, and then you go into kind of slow fishing again. So hopefully that's all going to come together, and we'll see that very, very soon. Dan Burns, Dan paid me $100 to say, the world famous Dan Burns, with some sea bass yesterday on the Chubasco 3 out of Redondo. He said, man, it looks really good out here, but here comes the wind. So there's that flash right there for you. Some sea bass taken yesterday on the Chubasco 3. Nice job. Those boys have been all over it. And again, if we get back to some good conditions, hopefully we'll see that start to turn on. Aloha Spirit just the other day out of the Channel Islands, 24 halibut. And also a couple of white sea bass, rockfish to go along with it. Tucker McCombs up there on the Endeavor. He's always on top of the fish, doing a great job. And don't forget local boats up there, the California, which is the old Matt Walsh out of Ventura Sport Fishing, and the Island Spirit. We were just out with Cody and the guys and just had a really great time. Call Saul at Ventura Sport Fishing. Make your reservation, 805-676-3474. Tell Saul hello for me. Tell all the guys hello for me. They have their wind right now. We're going to have to wait for that to lay down. That is definitely a problem. Good San Francisco Bay halibut fishing when the weather allows, and they haven't had too much weather up there, but they've had some just enormous bites up there in that neck of the woods. It really, really has been special. All right, in the surf, high tide today is going to be, I think around 11 o'clock. And I believe, yeah, there's a grunion run tonight. It's May 30th. It's observation only. We're doing observation all through June again. But again, that grunion acts as a magnet, brings a lot of fish in here. During grunion runs, sometimes fishing gets tough. And you might think to yourself, why does that occur? And since I have the brain capacity of a grunion or a fish, a surf fish, I'm thinking maybe the fish get full. Maybe they feed, because you can, if you come down on a grunion run, at times you'll see like boils in the surf. You'll see sometimes fish beach themselves chasing grunion, yellowfin croaker, spotfin croaker, halibut, all those species that move in here. Other times it acts as a magnet, brings a lot of surf fish in here, and they like to bite. And sometimes the day of the run, you'll see a lot of birds working out there, and I see absolutely none right now. Let me look over here. Many times you'll see like pelicans and that kind of stuff, and there's just no activity. But maybe a little bit later the light switch will go on, and I'll be here to check it out for you, because at 11, or I should say at 9, 2 hours before the high tide, is when I like to come down and hit the surf. I'll be down here drowning a worm or two, maybe throwing a crocodile and seeing what's going on. This is a great time, by the way, to fish corbina or bonefish. You get to stalk them, you get to actually watch them. Having a good pair of polarized glasses helps you to see those little devils, and that is always a lot of fun. So we'll see if they want to play a little bit later today, and if they do, I'll come back and give you another surf fishing update. Down there around Dana, there's been some decent halibut fishing, and it wouldn't surprise me, guys throwing lucky crafts anywhere around here up toward Long Beach in the Santa Monica Bay to come up with a halibut or two. We'll continue to watch that for you very closely. Wow, I mean, that was incredible, wasn't it? That San Diego bite on board the San Diego, on board the Grande. I've got to take my hats off to those guys. Incidentally, we're going to have those same trips on the Malahini this year, and they're starting to fill up in July, August, and September. Prime time, baby. If you want to join us, just check out on Facebook. You can click on a link and book while there is still time. Come out with Bill Wilkerson and Friedman Adventures for a really good time. All right, everybody, once again, remember those who have gone before us and given it all here on this Memorial Day. Enjoy your final day here on Monday. It's a gorgeous day. Take great care, and once again, thanks for sharing a cup of coffee and a few moments with me this morning. Take care. I'll see you soon again.